Well, I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about the differences between commercial and business brokerage. I ran across an interesting difference with a buyer prospect for, I only do business brokerage, and if there's property involved, then I can include it, but I don't just do commercial. Um, we kind of just like to specialize in the business brokerage realm. And to your point, Dick, business brokerage is not for the faint at heart for sure. Um, I haven't really done commercial that much, but I've done residential. I've done commercial, and business brokerage is by far the longest cycle to sell, um, and has so many, aspects to it that it takes a long time to get your commission.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but something I ran into that I wasn't familiar with this individual doing, and thought he had violated my NDA, which he did. However, I thought, well, he's commercial. He probably doesn't realize, even though he signed the NDA, the emphasis of confidentiality when signing a business, an NDA, or when you're listing a business. So, yeah, he went up to my seller. Actually, he knew my seller and went up to him, and he was not my prospect. He was going to be a partner with a prospect,
Ooh.
that has an NDA, and the guy was nice enough, and I complimented on him for helping me maintain integrity, and said, "Hey, look, I'm going to bring this guy in. Let me get an NDA." I like that. But then the guy went and met my seller in a gym and started talking about his business and said, "Hey, we need to do lunch and talk about this." So,
That
I didn't
was
go directly to him. I just went to the guy who gave him, the NDA, who was sent it to me. And I said, "Boy, that's a violation." And he actually, violated the NDA he signed. But then I thought, he's commercial, so maybe he doesn't know any better.
he should know better because he's commercial. Because I think in commercial, there's probably more non-disclosure agreements than there are in residential. I mean, if you're a businessman, you know what an NDA is, right?
Well, and if you're a businessman, hopefully you're operating in integrity.
Does everyone understand the purpose of an NDA for business? Who would like to explain the reason for an NDA?
I believe that the NDA is to protect the seller. The buyer should keep the seller business information confidential.
That's true. And what could go wrong if you're not confidential about a business?
Oh,
Like Pam just said, if you sign the NDA and then you violate it with me. For me, once the people who sign the NDA, my work is protected, right? Because I did follow the policy. I did not do anything wrong. So if they bypass me, I will definitely talk to the seller, which it happened. I told them, since this buyer signed the NDA with me, even though if he work with you, my commission still protected. Am I correct?
Why does the seller, maybe let me ask it a different way too. Why would the seller want a non-disclosure agreement? And why doesn't he typically have a for sale sign in front of his business?
well, you don't want your employees or your customers finding out that I mean, it really can disrupt, and likely would disrupt, the integrity of the business.
You've got key employees, you've got suppliers, you've got competitors, you've got customers, you've got all sorts of people that are important to the continuous cash flow of your business. And so you don't want to disrupt your cash flow of your business while you're trying to sell it. That is the reason you want an NDA. You don't want that business disrupted unless you want to make it improve it. That's one thing. But boy, you can destroy a business pretty fast if the wrong people leave and the supplier says, well, I'm not going to extend you any more credit. The customers quit coming. They're looking for new, new business. So there's a real good reason for NDAs, and they're serious business. They're serious, and it's not to protect me. It's to protect that business. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm confidential about the business, right? And so you put the blind listing out. Does everyone do a blind listing?
Yes.
Yes.
So that's the same reason, right? Why is it blind?
Confidentiality.
I'm not a business or a commercial broker. I do mostly residential, but I have been getting involved in some friends that are selling storage units, and I'm working with Tanya Gilreath about that. And so I'm very interested in finding out more information, but I'm experienced in starting businesses and working with other companies, and we had to do the NDAs, non-disclosure agreements for because we were filing patents, and we didn't want anybody knowing how we built our product for a cell tower. And so if we disclose that information to the public, what happens is somebody else will copy and they'll start producing and manufacturing the same product. And so then we have competition, and that hurts our business. So that's another reason we have an NDA.
Yeah, that's a great reason, right? That's why they have patents too sometimes. Protecting. Some people just get patent pendings, right? So
Yeah, we had a patent pending, but then we didn't get the patent because there was more similar products out there. So
it's hard to do it, and business is tough. I got a call the other day. Someone wants to sell their software company. Has anyone in this group been involved in the software business at all?
I worked for one, but no, not as a business broker.
You work for a software company?
I did a large firm back in the day.
Okay. Well, anyway, a lot of red flags went off for me on this one. I have actually personally developed a mobile app for an Android and for an Apple, right? And I know what it takes to go through the hoops. And this is what this software company is trying to sell. And they want $5 million for it, and it hasn't turned a dime yet. And the owner or the one that's trying to sell it, has a better idea. He's going to do something else. Now that's a huge red flag for me, right? Right, that one right there. So who's going to take that fantastic $5 million thing that hasn't made a dime yet, and who's going to buy that? I just don't know why they would. It's a gaming thing too. It's even makes it even much more of a niche market. So they've got these projections that show 100 million users. 100 million. I mean, okay, that's great, but they haven't sold one user yet. And so anyway,
what data did they grab their projections from?
Well, they made them up out of any projection that anyone's done projections. That's a guess, right? It's just a guess of what could happen or might happen or you want to happen. And they call them conservative or aggressive or whatever you want to call the projections. This is what I would call super aggressive projection.
Well, Casio and David are software developers. They talked about having an app for the business brokers.
Yes, I'm kind of chuckling to myself because I've seen those kind of decks. They're very common in our industry. People have very aggressive projections. They take the leading app on the market and they build a deck that has a very similar projection, but it's obviously contingent on the best possible outcomes at every single stage. And it's I know it's very misleading if you're not used to that.
I will. I'm gonna take. Is it okay if I take the caddy?
Take whatever car starts.
I know people that have been software entrepreneurs that got into trouble for writing that kind of deck, and then they get the wrong kind of investor in, and they're not used to falling short on those projections. So as a software person, you definitely have to keep the investor in mind. But for selling to VCs, that's what the VCs want to know, what the best possible outcome is. So that's why you see decks like that.
I think he's gone through the VC. He's been on this. I mean, they've probably the 5 million is what he's spent already.
Okay.
And he's probably trying to get money back so he can take some of his investors out and make them happy because it's his mother and his, father-in-law or something. And so it's probably that kind of thing. It's the only reason I can think of. Otherwise, you would license it, I would think, or you would give it to somebody and do royal. I don't know. David, what do you think?
It takes if you're trying to build a high growth tech company, there's a lot of work that has to go into marketing the product. Sometimes people look at the intellectual property value, if they have any patents, just in the software itself. There can be trade secrets and copyright protection, but it is really hard if you don't have, you need to have evidence from your customers. You have to have customer validation that the market is real. You have to have people that are actually out there saying, I want this application that solves my issue. Testimonials, because yes, revenue comes very late in the game, and a lot of entrepreneurs do struggle if they don't see that revenue coming. They can't, and if they're getting burnt out trying to raise money to continue the process, to continue building out the marketing, the software is only half the picture. You have to look at the marketing. How do you get everything prepared so that you can scale to the level you want? But you do have to look at what evidence do they have to support that they have a thesis that their software will solve a problem. Who have they talked to? Have they got customers to engage in some level? Have they got LOIs? Those are the questions to ask. It's just what kind of market validation do they have?
The Android and the Apple both have testing platforms, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you run them out there, maybe 2,000 people test your mobile app, right? And during that period of time, they can comment what we like about it, what we don't like about it. That's what I'm curious about, because he said he's done that.
Yeah.
I want to see what those people said.
Yeah, and especially if you can get access to the things like their analytics, if it's Google Analytics. There's a platform called PostHog, which is pretty new, but it's very exciting. It's called PostHog. It's their logo is a hedgehog. I'll drop a link in the chat, but what it does is it actually records the screen sessions of apps. So you can actually watch users interact with the application, and it will give you retention numbers. It will tell you people who signed up this week, how many came back the next week. As a product manager, that's something that people use to try to get validation for their product as they're building it.
This is a social platform. 12 to 25 is the age bracket they're shooting for. It competes with things like Minecraft, but they say they can program on the fly. That's their big spiel, program on the fly. Now, that's something that AI can do, but part of the problem with that, I guess, and this is maybe not of interest to anybody here, but is that when you do your websites, everyone here has done a website, right? A lot of you do drag and drops because there's templates. This doesn't have any templates that I can see, and so their games will be low level because someone's inventing them from home. So that'll be a problem I see myself. Plus, because it's 12-year-olds, you've got a licensing issue and a security issue for children.
Yes.
So I see all sorts of red flags on this one. But anyway, I just thought I'd bring it up Because I'm going to be talking to the seller on Friday, so I want to kind of gear up here for him.
Yeah. And also, when I hear social platform, I always think about the cold start problem. How are they going to build it from the very beginning when they have no established user base? Because a social platform would have a strong network effect. So the existing user base adds to the value of the product. If they don't have that, what is that initial value proposition that they're going to use? And then how is that going to get them to the network effect that they want later?
Yeah, you said it better than anybody, David. There it is, marketing. And you said it was, programming is one thing, but marketing is a whole nother animal.
It is.
I think this guy's run into that, Cassio.
Yeah, just really quickly, perhaps when the software is a little bit more mature and developed, there is a marketplace called acquire.com, and they call themselves the best marketplace for SaaS startups. Yeah, so this is specifically a marketplace for tech companies, software. I think it's about $100 a month to list, and Acquire will take 6% of the closing fee, which is a lot. But I know that they're always advertising people who have bought and sold.
Have you ever advertised on Acquire, Cassio?
I have not personally, no.
Is Cassio the one that I've gone to the site, I think, and what they want is you to send them your bank account to show how much money is coming in on that account. They literally want to see the cash flow from your bank account. I think that's the same company. They don't believe anything else but the bank account, which is smart. I think it's probably smart. Because I've got like this little app that I've got a bank account, and the money goes into that every day, on Stripe. So I could send them my Stripe account and they could see exactly how many users, and they could see exactly how much money and how much cash flow. This one, I'm guessing, has no Stripe account, no bank account, and all the money is going out, not in. So.
Well, you'll have to keep us posted, Dick, as to the progress.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, no, it was interesting. I think we all can learn something in every situation.